welcome back to the preview German Bundesliga. As you may have noticed, all you English speaking or just English speaking, I've done the same video already in German language. So of course well, I may know what to say, but it's also getting a bit tiring. Why I say so in general, or why I mention this, or why I've done it, is because I got some German speaking or just German speaking supporters, followers, whatsoever, and I would like to do something for them as well. And okay, so about to shuffling a bit around with these things you did get used to, maybe to those stats, but what you might most wish to know is this. Those are the bets for the weekend. And as I mentioned, I've said all that, so it's a bit not difficult, it's a bit yeah, as I said, exhausting, tiring. To say it all again, as you are used to, maybe we get this table. This is the real table. I've done it a bit comparable to the Xcodes now, because I've been asked to, and it may not be, what is the word for it? I don't like it myself this much. What I do like though is this indicators, those indicators. And I introduced one for the goals as well, including the goals. But there's not much of a difference, as usually the teams from the upper half, this is the goal difference, the goals they scored and conceded. So they got a good goal difference, those are bad ones. Maybe later this will change a bit, so we may see some movement here. In general, we support the lower table, or we had to support them, and we had to go against the upper table sides. And which is a consequence of the distribution of the points is never quite fair. You just can win 3 points, 1 point, or 0 points. That makes it already distinctive. Somehow you get differences anyway, because you may deserve 1.6 points and you get 0 or you get 3. So that's always wrong. And still, sometimes teams get a couple of times this in a row. So they get, so to say, lucky. In the long run, of course, it should be balanced out. It's a pretty complex subject in general. If you would try to do statistics on that, if they played 100 games or 1,000 games or something like that, which they wouldn't do, of course, but if that would still settle more to what they are playing right now, so it means, can you carry forward your shape, so to say, into strength? Because you did play well. You did play well again, or you didn't play well. You did play okay and got the win. You did play okay, get a win. You did play okay for 2 points, maybe you get 3 once again. So and then in the long run, you improve on that, because you're getting this confidence and stuff around it. So maybe they would approach here, but also my expectancies would rise, of course, if a team repeatedly wins, even if they are lucky. But it's a complex subject, and I'm not going into this. Now we got the top 2 meet and the bottom 2 meet, as you see here. It's not that well visible. I don't know übersichtlich what it's in English, to be honest. Could check that, but I'm not gonna do that now. Still, if we got like Gladbach also, this is a team still to support, upper half, and still green also. But there are not these many moves here. We get some more in the Bundesliga too, where you got upper table with green and lower ones with in red. so that makes it more exciting. But anyway, market usually knows about that. The team can win too much, so they wouldn't give you prices. Um, yeah, um, this is still a matter of how it turns into um, prices that market is gonna give on for them. Anyway, if top two or bottom two meet, it's two red ones. Although we had to say Bayern, actually they are not even red really. This is very neutral because the 7 points are close enough to what they played. That's what they deserved. They are by far the best, and so they, because they dropped the point against Hertha. So the computer says that's fine. Okay, you got what you deserved also, right? More or less. 11-3 goals is still even a bit too good because that 6-1 over Mainz was a bit too much in the end. Anyway, that's why it still is a bit red. Anyway, here we go into the bets now, and I mean, I could talk about the single pairings anyway, but Dortmund, Gladbach. At least you see here, you could stop, pause the video, and read this. You will get more or less what I can say. Or I can't say any better in German. It was different because that's in English. I had to say it in German. Anyway, it's a derby. We got that very prestigious, very traditional derby. They are next to each other. They are rivals, but they are not really enemies or something like that. They are pretty friendly, but still it's very, very traditional, very prestigious. You could say here, it speaks a bit more for the away side. Anyway, we do not have many home wins, are okay, I might say, but that was something very wrong done here. I have to, sorry. I should have those stats underneath the table actually. Why is it not there? Here we see no home advantage in terms of goals. That means 50.5%. It's, you divide this by 2. This is a factor I have here that divided by 2. You got the percentage of goals the home side scores. That's 47. Away side 46. So it's 0.5%. They scored more. Alright, that's 50.5%. In wins, it's still 12 wins and 10 away wins. But that speaks also a bit for the away sides. And as I said or explained in another video, that ever since the World Cup 2018, it turned out that it's easier to defend. I mean, it eventually turned out to be, or it was proven that it's easier, or the tactics are exercised to perfection. You defend, you defend, you defend, and you wait for the chance on the break. And as soon as the opponent overextends, you can say, right? You see that quite often. You can actually watch it easily in single games. When there's a corner, it may be maximum goal danger for the defending side, but if they lose the ball, which happens often enough, then you see this chance on the break. It may be because the central center backs go forward because they are usually the better ones with their heads. So they go forward, and even if 2 others drop back, they are not of the same quality as these center backs would be to stop those counter chances. And also it's an open field usually, even if there are 2 or 3 players, some that they come a mass with 6, 7, 8 players within seconds. So, and you see that, and I was a bit surprised actually that they stuck to their tactics, I don't know. Anyway, they stick to the tactics to go forward when there is a corner, which is very good for football because you would like to see that goal mouth action. But But when you see, and the coaches should see that, notice that it's the chances on the break are bigger against them, then you shouldn't do it. They still do it. So maybe it's a mistake, but we are happy about it. Because what we'd like to see is some football, some good football, some chances here and there. But it's we could fear that one day they will notice and will stop that. It's just one silly example I was giving here. We got Gladbach, draw no bet. It's not a big one because we do not have any huge edge here. About the same 186, so it's 154, 166. You see here the goal expectancies. The new system calculates. The old system I'm not giving here, but I could show you, of course, anytime you like. That would be here 1.48, 160. So that's close enough to that, right? 148, 160. It's both just a bit below. Anyway, Derby special, forget about it. Dortmund, I could hardly argue or make any better than it is. Computer says, because I bent to the market reaction that said Dortmund are going to be good enough to challenge Bayern. I didn't really believe that because they were too good in the last season. You may have noticed when you watched my videos, but you may also remember or just notice yourself. They had by far too much, and usually when you say a team are overperforming, they get too many points. I'm not calling this overperforming. They are too good in the table. Then I would say next season, wait a second, it's not going to be the same. Although market usually thinks so. That's same with Düsseldorf, whereby in Düsseldorf you could say they knew it, market predicted that. There are many such examples when a team get too many points. That's not overperforming, because for me it's a different story what is overperforming. But it's so I accepted that, and to some extent, and now I was proven right that they are not so good. Here you see 6.97, 5.87 points they should have had. So, of course, they are just narrowly red then, which is the same for Leverkusen, who actually did even play a bit better. So I'm still, this is one on figures more or less, and somehow trusting that the settings I've made, right, which were in agreement with market more or less. So I could say, well, okay, Dortmund could still prove they are better. But this can never be a premium bet. It's one on figures, and somehow I say, well, bite the bullet. I'm gonna trust that somehow that market is right. Dortmund are good, and they are good. Of course, they are very, 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 very good. Just the one question is: are they good enough to challenge Bayern? Are they a lot better than Leverkusen? Which market somehow set preseason. Now after this one loss at Union, that's also a reason why I might pick them, because market then overreacts, but they say, oh, they are not so good. Did you see that? They lost 3-1 at Union, whereby I was taking Union there, and I was saying Union impressed me, a team that lost 0-4 against Leipzig, and when I saw that, I said, they are impressive. Wait a second, that was very good. Okay, Augsburg, that's a perfect one. I mean, here you can say whatever pros and cons or so, but I may lose it easily, but it's a home side with plus a quarter. We got a couple of things in their favor. I mean, we got first of all a very, very good effort. They are not a team. No, general, I would have been against Augsburg, but very good performance against. I mean, we can check that up here. 2.63, I was expecting 2.89. They performed 2.63, both pretty low here. So I was pretty right, but they still a bit better. And this is mainly for that Werder game, because they were so good with 10 men. They lost 2-3, which is also an indication, okay, market would not adjust there. They wouldn't say, very good side, they lost 2-3, oh, they are good. They would instead say, they are no good, but 1 point only. Okay, a couple of points. And now, but we, if it's were just Augsburg, of course, this is nothing. But what they play Eintracht Frankfurt, and Eintracht Frankfurt, they got this. I mean, they lost Rebic now to Milan on loan. They Aller and Jovic left anyway. And if you would ever look back at the season 2018-2019, then you would always remember, oh, can you you remember these three? Do you remember these three players, right? I mean, it may be not quite the level Elba, Balakov, and Bobic in, I can say that in 2002. The magische Dreieck, magic triangle with Balakov up here. Oh, how do I have to say that? Balakov, Elba, Bobic, so to say. And because 1 year is not enough for that, right? To get into the legend, into the Hall of Fame. But if you would, and all those left, so what could you expect from Frankfurt, right? I mean, they've done okay, but 2-1 the win over Düsseldorf was lucky. You see that they played okay. I was rating them a bit lower, I have to admit, but the 2-1 over Düsseldorf was a lucky one. And no, this was still with Rebic, or did he play actually? I'm not even sure. But they are busy in Europe. That's the main thing. So they play on Thursday, they take on Arsenal, right? So how could you as a player now say, okay, full focus on Augsburg. We're going to play Arsenal on Thursday, forget about that one. Okay, and usually you have that effect, and especially with teams that are not so experienced or not so, not so deep in their squads, and they are not so much used to that. Although it's the second year in succession that they are doing well. Anyway, that's a perfect one for me, and think about it, and yeah, go for it, and watch the price. Maybe true old 1.92, that's only very, very small margin here. So, but I still consider we could adjust a bit in favor of Augsburg for the named reasons. Anyway, Leipzig, I would say it's a very decent one. Computer here is very, very positive on Leipzig. That's for their very good defensive at home. I mean, I could say it was just lucky for the longest time now. But I would say that's and look at the results they achieved against Bayern. It was a 0-0 at home and a 1-0 loss in Munich. So just one goal in 2 games, but just one goal conceded. They couldn't score, okay, but defensive, perfect. And the year before, they beat Bayern at home 2-1 and they lost there 2-0. So it's still just 3 goals in 2 games. So it's a total of 4 goals they conceded in 4 games. The cup final, okay, they lost 3-0. But still, I mean, it's a different game. I'm gonna forget about this one. Anyway, it's plus half a goal. They haven't lost to Bayern in Leipzig or at home in the Bundesliga, so why would you get half a goal? Of course, it's a very important one. You can say as Bayern are in the position to take over, but they wouldn't mind so much doing it a couple of weeks later. Although there's no guarantee. Even though they are by far the best, as you see here, 6.88, no one is coming close, although Leverkusen. Anyway, I'm trying to get a bit better here on the over-under. In Mainz Hertha, I mean, usually these over, here I got the goal average, 3.44 is the real one. I expected even 3.25, although it should have been just 3.1. This is what my computer says, because they are converting their chances too well. Still they do so. And it could mean as well that those chances are bigger that they are getting. And the computer has to slowly adjust to that. They didn't get as many, they've taken a better, means they are going forward. Everyone is going forward. If they go forward, doesn't mean they create better chances up front. What it means, they concede or they allow better chances for the other ones on the break. And this is not measured here. Anyway, if there are any kind such developments, they will usually be reflected in the figures at some point if it stays this effect. I'm describing it, it may be early days, that's why, but it happened, so I could hardly say, no, this is gonna go by, it's over with that. I mean, it's and look at that, Hertha with 10 goals and here 14 goals, so that's a total of 24 goals in 6 games if you add them up. And that's 4 goals per game, so why would an over 2.75 if you got 3.44? How could this be a bad bet? What the market would say is 17th bottom to meet, so they are gonna go back and wait and hope for the one chance. It's gonna be a tighter and closer and more intense battle for the points. I wouldn't say so after 3 games are played. Statistically, it's very, very well justified. If you think differently about it, then go ahead or bin it. Forget about it. Here we got a perfect over. I don't know. They are carrying forward the Union under from last season. I checked that they had 2.56 goals in their games in Bundesliga 2, and somehow they carried that forward to the Bundesliga 1. That's a different story here. That are an over anyway. Check out the goals. There had been 14 in 3, and Union there had been 10. That's also 24 and 6. That's also 4 goals per game. But the approach, what would Union do at home? 0-4 Leipzig, sorry, and 3-1. That's 4 goals each. So you can see that already. Or anything can happen. They wouldn't step back, and now why would they? I mean, they are very, very happy that they beat Dortmund, and now they are here somewhere in the mix. So why would they be worried about anything, right? And Werder, anyway, that's every game is an over, a massive over. Check out this. That's a did I didn't click the right game. Sorry. Now here, 3-2 win, 2-3 loss, 1-3 loss. That's a 3-1 win, 1-1 draw. Okay, that wasn't over. They didn't get the penalty, and 0-4. Anyway, it's plenty of overs. I can't see that. If there's an under indicated, at least think twice about it. I got this indication, very small indication. I like it sometimes if I, have an over here and under there, because it means my figures are not so one-sided or something like that, right? Or market, or I'm a lot finer than market, so I know better. I mean, I could simply say Frankfurt without 3 strikers, how would they score a goal, right? If they've done so, that's 4 and 3. That's no more than any other side. That's 1.33. That's even less. So you can say you see that already. Only 7 goals in their 3 games. Augsburg 13. Okay, it's a total of 20 and 6. That's just over 3. But we had this Augsburg in Dortmund where a lot can happen, and it happened that they lost 1-5. In Werder, it wasn't over. I have to admit that but they lost a player and was an early goal. So yeah, it could be the wrong way. And we should not forget Frankfurt are playing on Thursday. So if anything, what do you do if you want to save some energy? You stay behind, right? You try to you soak up the pressure, or you wait for the others. If you go forward, that's more intensive and more. Anyway, I don't want to argue too much. It's a game bet by figures. Forget about it, or you trust that. I'm not sure. It's not a premium one. Okay, Leipzig Bayern, the under. I was saying that already. There has been 5 meetings, and any of those 5 had been an under. So what's the problem? I mean, it's sometimes there had been 3 goals, like 3 times. No, 2-1 and 0-3. 2 had been with 3 goals, and the others had been with 2-1-0. So that's 3 plus 6, 9 goals in 5 games. That's 1.8 per game. In all the meeting in the last 2 years when they met. In Paderborn Schalke, I don't like this. I mean, I don't like it myself. It's a bet by figures. And I just read a commentary somewhere. This is an over. Yeah, I don't know. Of course, Schalke under 2, that's just 3-3, that's 1 goal, 2 goals per game, what 1 goal they scored, 1 they conceded. Paderborn may have learned the lesson, 11 and 3, okay, that's still 3.66 or 3.67, but they learned a lesson 1-1 in Wolfsburg. Okay, I don't know. It's won by figures, and if I say I did set Paderborn to some league standard, what else? What choice do I have? I mean, and they were somehow the offensive side. Of course, we can always look up these things and check them out and say, okay, you're wrong, you're wrong. I mean, look at the table. There had been 126 goals in 34 games, so they were very clear over here. But it's a new league. Anyway, I would say when they win promotion, usually they do not mind so much if there are some goals coming. They want to check out that league, Paderborn. They made this mistake once a couple of years ago when they tried too much to stay in the league with this coach. Oh no, I can't say all those names. I know Breitmaiter, Andre Breitmaiter. But and then he was sacked even, and then they went down 3 leagues, so Bundesliga 3, and even one more. But they only stayed up because another team went broke, were eliminated. But so they don't want to repeat that mistake, and simply say, okay, we see what we get, and we don't repeat that. But would it be an under then? Maybe in some sense. But anyway, not doing this mistake would mean well, okay, I can imagine a lot of things to happen here, and as their coach, he's also something with Breit. No, it's I mean, it's very very annoying with all those names. Tend to forget with Alzheimer approaching, but I see him Breitkreuz. No, what's his name? I know those names, but I can't think. Anyway, what's no, really, that's really funny. But he said already we are the coach. He said already we are going forward, but of course he can. Yeah, so it sounds like an over. Maybe, I don't know. It's won by figures, and as it's indicated pretty heavily, and I could still argue that Schalke are the ones in the driver's seat. They are the favorites, so they could say, okay, the game goes more the way we want it to go. In Bundesliga 2, I'm gonna keep that short. Now, we have Karlsruhe, that's tonight, it's starting in a couple of hours already, and it's indicated this is a derby. It's not one of any tradition, but if anything, in these kind of derbies, I would say that's the much bigger club which Karlsruhe are. They got some more support from the area in some sense, because they say, who's Sandhausen, right? This is Karlsruhe, this is our club. Sandhausen, they don't belong anywhere, and they are about to establish them as the number one in this area, you could say, which Karlsruhe, of course, would still try to challenge very much. So it's of some importance and some. In Sandhausen, of course, in red here, while Karlsruhe most likely in green, slightly. And also Sandhausen with a very lucky win over Darmstadt, so we take Karlsruhe. Anyway, Heidenheim is not such a nice one. It's Heidenheim, if you look here, 7.5, I expected 6.19. So they could never prove they belong where I was expecting them to be, right? In the upper half, and maybe challenging them up here, right? It's still a matter of who they played and how often they played at home, so this value can differ a bit. But anyway, they couldn't show that. But they had this very good 2 comebacks against Stuttgart, 0-2, 2-2 in the end, Nuremberg 0-2, 2-2 in the end. So you can say, well, that proves something. And it's also some good clubs, right? Nuremberg, anyway, they are both relegated, so they should be of some caliber. But they didn't play the way. And we got the opponent, Holstein Kiel, which did play a lot better. And they did play a lot better than where they are, and so on. And I saw their games and I thought, man, they look good. They play again that same level they used to play last season, which is the case when they were 4th. I may have closed the table, but can instantly bring it up again. They were in 4th place, I'm sure. And Sorry, I was wrong. That was the year before. I could also show that. They were in 6th place. Still okay, not great, I have to admit. It was the year before when they were even in 3rd place, of course, because they played this relegation playoff. But okay, they could repeat, also to say. And they actually impressed over these 2 years. So what more can I say? I mean, whenever you see them play, you think, oh, that looks good, that looks good. And it was all in Cup. What did they do in Cup? And it was another such game where they just impressed me when you think, well, it looks good. It always looks good. And it always kind of a certain style, right? Those are the teams, they just, I mean, you can say they are in the north, and in the north, those people are more stubborn, more resistant, more resilient. I don't know. They don't care so much about what people think or say, and I don't know how to describe that. But usually those players are not from that region. I mean, rarely any, but they are a bit taller, and they don't, they go forward. They think, well, what have we got to lose, or something like that. Anyway, if I talk about this, it's a game bet on figures. This is not verified by those stats here. When they are very green, they are very red. If I would still put it here. Of course, I have to trust my figures in some sense, but I can always do those adjustments and say, okay, I bend to that. Kiel had been terrible against Aue. That you have to say. I was expecting, although I went with Aue, so I was happy. But that was a different game. That looked like Aue. Okay, so one game only, but it was 1-1. But Aue should have won it, so I can say build on that and those 2 comebacks that Heidenheim had. But like that, you can turn and this way, that way, and then you say in the end, I want a bet, and here I got one. So you're happy as a pro. It's not like this, but still, if it's one on figures, then I still look for those justifications. What is keeping short? Make it longer, right? Darmstadt, draw no bet. This is also not really justified by those figures here. Once again, I can say Darmstadt had been terrible. I have to admit that. And that would be the first one to go against. Because if you got a bottom club that are red, that's really alarming, right? That's terrible. Here, I build it on 2 facts. There are not these differences in this league, and which you could watch and spot, especially in the last match day, when that was like Kiel, Aue, and also Sandhausen, Darmstadt, top against bottom, home at home, 10 players away side, and still it was a 1-0 very lucky home win. So you could say, well, Darmstadt could have won that. It was very good. But many such games, when you this is very common in this league, when you see top against bottom, and you would, if you wouldn't know the jerseys, the dresses, then you would say, well, they could be top or the others. I mean, you don't know. It's anyone's choice. They are about the same. That's what I build is on, but it's not. And Nürnberg are just, they played their level, which was a pretty low level, and as I heard the voices and so on, and I thought, okay, they know where they belong. That's just mid-table. They are no better. They don't have any higher hopes because they have to settle now. They lost the Bundesliga 1 status last year and lost those players and so on, and now they just have to settle. And as you saw so many times, there are teams going down and they go into nowhere, right? I mean, so everyone knows that. It's very difficult. And HSV last season, they were similar, although they were better maybe than others, which is a very, very big club, I mean, compared to that. And Nürnberg, also very big. I mean, there's no difference. In Stuttgart this year, and they may even find their way back up, because they are the best. Still, it's a draw no bet, 2.05, so you could say, well, there are no such differences. You could argue against it, because why would you take a home side? You don't want one, because home sides are not the ones, to be preferred. St. Pauli, what can I say? I mean, here you got the difference between them. That's 0.38 goals. I could never make this any bigger. I mean, we got the same phenomena with an away side being such a heavy favorite. Here you could say this is not an away side, this is Hamburg, and they are both from Hamburg. It's different, this one, because St. Pauli play in their own home ground, which many do, but this is a lot smaller, but they wouldn't want to move to the Volksparkstadion, to the HSV home land, although they could make some more money. They stay at home, they only give the amount of tickets away that they have to, and they try to, to defend their castle. And so this is a home game. But anyway, 0.75 goals, that would be, with any calculation, you see that here, 8.67 they should have had, that's 5.89. I mean, there may be a difference in this case, even almost 3 points. Yeah, this is something. Still they are green here, and this is pretty okay. It's close enough to, I mean, you can say they were worse. I saw them play. I thought that looked a lot better than those results against Kiel. They won 2-1, which they shouldn't have won when I was supporting them. I admit that, but they were very good until they took the lead there, right? This was the last home game. And only in the late dying seconds, I mean the last 10 minutes, you can say 15 minutes after Kiel then scored the 2-1 and 1-2, coming closer, and then they were pushing, and then it would look terrible and very good for Kiel. But in this sense, before that, St. Pauli were good. Here got an under, take it or leave it. It's Stuttgart are very professional, 13 goals, 2.6 per game only in 5 games, right? And you could see that when you see them play, okay, they know what they are doing. They are gradually moving up the pitch and then get their forward play. They only drew 0-0. Was it the last one? I mean, in that case, I have to admit I'm not sure, because it can hardly have been the last one. And I would instantly remember, yeah, that was the Monday night game when they beat Bochum. They deservedly so did, but the away game was a 0-0. You can see that in those results. That's highly professional, and there's actually just a single over against Heidenheim over this line, right? And the others were winners, partly just half winners. Anyway, it's still won by figures, right? Regensburg usually, that's 16-5, so that's 3.2 per game, and they usually, they don't step back. But you could also say here, well, there shouldn't have been as many goals, just 15. Okay, 15 is close enough too, so it's below 15. But anyway, it's won by figures, and I can argue. You can always argue, right? If I wanted to argue for an over, and I could find many reasons, because I could say Regensburg, they don't trouble. This is a bonus game. They know already they are, so they just will go forward and so on. And also I could argue, Stuttgart didn't score in the last away game. No, this time they are going to do many such rubbish. Heidenheim Kiel under. This is pretty justified by the goals that had been coming. Oh no, that's 12 and 17 and 29. Yeah, it's justified. That's 2.9 per game. I'm saying that here, 2.9. This is below the line, but if you see here that Kiel should have scored 10.19, I was expecting they couldn't convert their chances. That's almost not almost. That's 2.7 goals more than expected, and this is even 2.5 below here. So there are 5 goals missing for them, although they conceded less than they should have. This is right. I expected 7.67, should 7.65. So this is close enough. But anyway, you could say now they are going to get the goals they deserve. Heidenheim, they conceded more, they scored a little more. It's everything pretty close, but it's won by figures. It's the new system, not even convinced, 1.76. Usually I trust the new system a bit more in this respect, because it's a bit more sensible for the chances created, for the goals that should have come. The old system would just say, there is a goal, I don't care if it's deserved or not. It's just, or if they should have scored it, there is one. Anyway, this is an indicator under. If you want to talk about this over, this is a lot better. I mean, because it's an over anyway, but look at that, 20 goals in 5 games, that's 4 per game. Dresden, That's 16 and 5. That's still 3.2. We got a line of 3. So what more would you need? That's 36 and 10. That's 3.6 per game. And of course, you could argue again, like in Mainz against Hertha, that it's bottom table clubs when market simply says this is under, okay, all those low sides. This is a top side. Oh, over. I don't know what market thinks about it. But in some respect, they are right, because usually you got these tight battles when it's coming to winter, and this is really those tight scrambles, and when they need the points and so on. But why would they do after 5 games? Don't forget, Bochum got a new coach, so maybe with this new coach, it can be a different approach. Of course, this has been over, so usually they strengthen defensive. But I would say this guy, Thomas Reis, he does not stand for the for that defensive football. Although he had been right back, something like that. What was his position? Anyway, it's a younger coach, you could say, 45, I think. But they wouldn't overstress defensive. But of course, you have but by figures it would be, oh, would it? Here you see the old system even says 2.03. Here I would say it's just based on the new system. I liked it, or I put it here because I saw them play and I thought, well, that looks like goals, which is proven in the results. Here you could step back and say, no, sorry, new coach, I don't want an over. Usually when they are low, no points, and sack the coach, which was not the case here. He just retired more or less, although he said, I can't even remember this name, although I see him every day. Our Osnabrück under indicated, of course, figures would somehow say, okay, 13, that's 26, and 10, that's 2.6 per game. 2.6 would be a true price of 1.93. I'm saying that here. It would be justified for 2.9 just by those figures. Or you can say by tradition they are under. In this case, they both are without any trouble different to those clubs from here. So you could say why an under here and over there and so on. But it's still early days in some sense. And it's also, I'm not talking about winter or autumn approaching. But sometimes in this around this time, still they would change their game approach, which would then be not justified to go for this over. But this is one by figures and no more. And you see here true all 2.0. So 2.0 is not a price you would. It's just a true price. So you can take it or leave it. And this is still the case here with any under, because there had been just goals. In this league we had 3.09 real. I expected 2.96, but in this case it's a bit higher even at those 3.12. So compare it to Bundesliga 1. You see this is just sometimes some statistical ups and downs for a certain number of games. It's a small sample, as you would say, and so a lot can happen. Anyway, I'm gonna leave you here with this. Thanks, leave here, share, like, comment, subscribe, and so on. And see you on Tuesday, I guess.